3 characters from the Lord of the Ring franchise, and you have to just guess who they are. Yeah.
Frodo and
Correct.
誰だろうな。ガンダルフ。
And last one.
Last one, アラブ。
This one is...
Oh.
2 out of 3. Still amazing. So I know that you're a fan of the wider Lord of the Rings franchise. So how did you first get involved in this project?
So initially we were starting with a smaller scale actually, because in making the Hollywood IP into Japanese style animation movie, that was the idea of the project. So we started relatively small, but then because Lord of the Ring fans are so many in the world, all over the world, so therefore if we were to make it, maybe we can make it something big, and because the Peter Jackson's universe is such an epic universe as well. So therefore if we're gonna do it, why not make it much bigger? That's how we ended up in this kind of scale.
Because I know you worked a lot on sci-fi fantasy, so Ghost in the Shell, very much so focusing on like tech and the digital world. But Lord of the Rings is high fantasy. So how was that switch?
In my career, actually, there was actually the anime title that was in the genre of high fantasy, which is Moribito Guardian of the Spirits. And so I think that there is an affinity between high fantasy and science fiction when it comes to animation. Because they're both actually creating something that is sort of superficial, is nothing that is not based on the reality. But because also live action is really, if you were to make sort of high fantasy or science fiction into live action, it is more difficult, and also it costs a lot of money as well. So actually the anime was very suitable media to do that, to realize. And but in my career also, what I was focused on is that in the world of anime, how do I bring in the sense of realism? And that's something I have been focusing on as a director, and but I'm proud of myself in doing that. So in order to kind of making that kind of hand-drawn animation, it is actually suitable. So I wouldn't say there is a huge difference between science fiction and high fantasy in that regard.
But yeah, I know there's been so many different like adaptations of The Lord of the Rings, and obviously I'm from BlackGirlGamers, so we would love to know, like, are you a gamer? And if so, would you ever potentially work on a game to see this kind of world reimagined in that sense?
To be honest, I myself is not a gamer. I don't actually play games, but I do have an interest in that. Because in terms of the game, the storytelling is more interactive as opposed to the movie, which is like a one-sided kind of way of storytelling. But in the case of game, you have to create so many story, looking at so many directions of the story. So as a director, it will be more challenging in terms of the genre. But doesn't mean that I'm not interested in it. So if I get a chance, an opportunity, I'd love to tackle on those kind of story where you have so many information, bring it into the story.
Thank you so much. Fingers crossed we get that game, but thank you so much for talking to me.